Another September, another Apple event. And today the event was not that long, but it was absolutely packed with stuff. So let me get right into it. And we start off with the iPad. So there's a new entry-level iPad. I believe it's now the 10th generation. It might be 9th. I don't know. They're so confusing to keep a track of. But this iPad has the same design, and it's a very minor refresh. It has an updated A13 Bionic chip. It's got a better image signal processor now to give you just better performance on the cameras. There is a new front camera that is 12 megapixels, and it has 122-degree field of view, which is incredible. And to top it all off, it actually has center stage. So the Apple M1 iPad only feature, the iPad Pro feature, has come down to the cheapest iPad, which is incredible. And it's a great feature too. So I'm so happy that Apple is bringing this across the board. It now has a True Tone display as well, and it keeps that same $329 price. But the one caveat here is that we have a 64 GB entry-level model now instead of 32 gigs, which is so much better. I would have still preferred 128 to have been the option there, but 64 is better than 32. Honestly, I'll take anything over 32 at this point. It's available to order today, and it will ship next Friday. Moving on, the iPad mini. Now, this is one I've been so excited for. I love the iPad mini, and I've honestly been waiting ever since the last refresh for a new one, because the last refresh still had the same design, and I just didn't feel like I should buy it. And then as time went on, I still wanted an iPad mini. I couldn't justify buying that old one because I was like, I already waited. If I would have bought it at launch, maybe a different story. But so I've been wanting a nice iPad mini for years, and this is finally my chance, because now there's a new design. It looks a lot like the iPad Pro and iPad Air. It's got the squarish design. It comes in 4 new colors: purple, gold. No, it's not gold. It's called purple, pink, white, and it's this weird now new color that Apple is going with called Starlight. It's kind of like silver, but a little bit goldish. It's a weird color, but that's it. You've got an 8.3-inch display. I'm not sure if this is going to be like the same exact kind of size as the older minis, if it's going to get bigger in terms of dimensions, but the screen is bigger. So it went from a 7.9 to an 8.3-inch display. It has 500 nits of brightness. The Touch ID has now moved to the power button, exactly like it is on the iPad Air. For all intents and purposes, this is the iPad Air, but smaller. This is like, honestly, the iPad Air mini. More than just the iPad mini, but it's also got a USB-C port, and it's got 5G support, which I'm impressed with, because this is definitely future-proofing the iPad. So if you wanted a cellular iPad, the iPad mini does come with 5G connectivity. It also has an updated camera on the back, the 12 megapixel sensor with a flash module. Now, the older iPad minis did not have flash. Now there's a flash module as well, and it's got the same upgraded ISP with Smart HDR that the normal iPad got. It also now supports 4K video recording, which is fantastic if you're going to be, making videos on your iPad. I don't know who does that, but if you are, good for you. Same front camera as the entry-level iPad, the 122-degree field of view, and center stage, which is going to be awesome. There is also now stereo speakers on the iPad mini. They said only in landscape mode, which didn't make sense to me, but whatever. Stereo speakers are stereo speakers, and it's so good to finally have a refreshed iPad. The greatest thing about it now is that it's going to support the 2nd generation Apple Pencil. They've kind of retooled the design where the power button and volume button's on the top for some reason, because I don't know, the other side just couldn't have, I don't know. It was a weird decision to have the volume and power button on the top now, and then the side will, of course, house the Apple Pencil. But beyond that, it really is very, very similar to the iPad Air. I'm very excited about it. The one thing I'm not excited about is the price. It's $500 for the 64 gig model, and then $650 for the 256. There's no 128 GB option. I was so disappointed about that, because 64 is just not enough. 256 is just a bit too much. 128 is that sweet spot, and they don't have a 128 GB option. But the good thing about it is you can order it today, and it'll ship next Friday. So new iPad mini this month. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen, and I'm so happy about it. Moving on, let's talk about the Apple Watch. They talked about a new feature in the software immediately before even talking about the Series 7. So there is now auto detection for cycling workouts, And there's also fall detection for cycling workouts, which is fantastic. I didn't know they didn't have it. I assumed that they already had that, but for some reason they didn't. The Watch 7 does retain pretty much the same design as the Watch Series 6 and the SE, but it has a much larger screen. It's got 20% more screen area than the Series 6. The Series 6 already goes pretty close to the edge, especially compared to the Series 3, but this is literally going right up to the edge. It looks fantastic. The design, it technically has more softer rounded corners, but it looks very similar to this. You won't be able to visually distinctively tell, I think, between a Series 6 and Series 7. There's a slightly brighter display when you're indoors. I don't know what that means. They were specific about the indoor part, so I'm going to guess it means that the always-on display is a little bit brighter now, but they did tout that multiple times. There's going to be, all the same stuff, more durable, better glass, just more crack resistant. It is now dust resistant as well. It has an IP6X dust rating and a WR50 water resistance that it already had. And there's going to be new watch faces. But the one thing that interested me the most was that it has faster charging now. So they're going to have a new USB-C to the watch connector. I don't know what they call that, but the connector, the magnetic connector. So you're going to have a USB-C to watch connector, and that apparently charges up the watch 33% faster. Now, I'm not sure if you can get away with a lower power charger, or if you need that 18 watt or 20 watt charger to make it go, but 33% faster charging is great because they already charge so fast. 33% faster is just even better. The coolest thing that they talked about was that you can get 8 hours of sleep tracking from 8 minutes of charge, which is not bad. Like, sleep tracking takes about 25% of battery from what I've observed. So you're getting about like 1/4 of your battery life in 8 minutes, which is fantastic. A whole new array of colors now. So there's going to be a midnight for the aluminum. There's going to be a midnight, a starlight, a green, blue, and red. It's interesting. These color options are definitely different. I didn't expect them. Midnight and starlight are basically black and white, black and silver-ish. The green is a very dark army green type color, which is interesting. The blue is not the same blue as the Watch Series 6. I think it's a little bit lighter. And the red, I think, is a little bit darker, or might be the same shade. I didn't pay close attention. But it also comes in stainless steel. The same 3 color options in stainless steel. And there's titanium now with a natural look and then the darker grayed out look. So there are 3 case options. And there's, in total, 10 color options as well. The Series 3, surprisingly, is still going to stay around. I have no idea why. This is just like a big troll on Apple's part, I feel like. Why is this watch sticking around? It should be dead by now. So the Series 3 still sticks around at the same price at $199. Please, for the love of God, nobody buy this. Don't buy the Series 3. Like, I said the same thing last year, and I cannot believe I have to say this year as well. The Apple Watch SE remains at $279. No upgrade to that. And I'm surprised they didn't lower the price a little bit at least, but it also makes sense. This definitely is, it felt like a longer term product. It didn't feel like it was going to get a yearly refresh to me. So I'm glad that the Apple Watch SE still remains at the $279 price point. It is a fantastic device. And if you can find it for any less than $279, jump on it. So going back to the Apple Watch Series 7, it's going to be $400, the same price point as before. And it's going to be available later this fall. We've been hearing rumors about their supply chain issues, and just the fact that they announced that it's going to be available later this fall instead of a date, that pretty much seals the deal. I think we're looking at an October-ish release, if so. We don't know. It would be nice to have it sooner rather than later, but October is what it is there in my head. Then Apple did talk about Fitness Plus, Apple TV Plus. There's a few new this things, few new that thing. There's group classes, whatever. I wasn't really interested in it. And I think not many people are. So Apple Fitness Plus is getting better. So if you're interested in that, just go watch the launch event. Moving on to the biggest part, which were the new iPhones. And I was like, I knew not to expect too much, but honestly, there wasn't that much either. So there's a slightly smaller notch now. The camera on the iPhone 13 mini and 13 are now diagonal instead of being stacked. Again, that change was, I think, purely made just to be like, there's some difference here, buy the new one, because otherwise it looks identical to the iPhone 12. I'm glad that the iPhone 13 mini lives on. The mini size was amazing, and I was a little bit concerned whether or not Apple will keep it because of the rumors of weak sales. The phone has ceramic shield and IP68 just like the iPhone 12 and 12 mini did. There's 5 colors now. There's pink, blue, starlight, midnight, and product red. The colors are, the pink is the newest one, and then the starlight is kind of renamed from silver, so pretty much there's one new color. The blue is a lighter shade of blue, and the red is a darker shade of red compared to the iPhone 12. So a lot of different color things going on here, but the major colors are kind of similar. They dropped the green and purple for this year. The display is 28% brighter now, and there is going to be a 1200 nits of peak brightness, just like the 12 Pro Max and 12 Pro had. And of course, new chipset time. A15 Bionic is what they're calling it. It's a 6-core CPU, and Apple said it's 50% faster than leading competitors. I want to know which leading competitor they're talking about. They should have just named and shamed, but they don't, obviously. But it's going to be faster, pretty much. There's a 4-core GPU and a 16-core neural engine as well. So, honestly, at this point, the A15 is going to be great. There's nothing to talk about. There's a larger camera sensor, and they've also brought in the really cool sensor shift optical image stabilization from the iPhone 12 Pro to the 13 and 13 mini. So this feature is going to be a standard thing across the range. There's a new cinematic mode for video where it's basically fancy autofocus, where you can shift focus from the foreground to background in quick succession, and it's very cool. And with that feature, if you have the Pro models, you can also do that on the fly or post-editing. You can actually do it on the fly on the 13 and 13 mini as well, but you can't edit it after the fact. But with the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, you can change it after the fact. One of the biggest updates in my head for this was definitely just the fact that the iPhone 12 mini, the 13 mini and 13 get battery improvements. There is a physically larger battery, and the 13 mini is going to have an hour and a half more battery compared to the 12 mini, and the 13 is going to have 2.5 more hours of battery compared to the 12. So the 12 had pretty great battery life, so the 13 is going to have some really solid battery life. And pretty much the same price as last year, but no more 64 gig option. We got 128 as standard. So if you were going to buy the 128 gig option, you saved yourself $50 this year. So a little bit of a price cut if you're going to get the 128 compared from last year. Beyond that, the 13 Pro, we have the very similar, it looks almost identical to the 12 Pro. There's 4 colors now. The graphite, gold, and silver are the same from last year. The Pacific blue has been replaced by Sierra blue, which is a very, very light blue, a very sky blue color. It looks pretty good, at least in Apple's promo images. This also has a smaller notch. This also has the IP68 and ceramic shield. Also has A15 Bionic, the bigger battery. And the most important changes here are the updated display, which now has 1,000 nits of brightness and the same 1,200 nit peak. And it has ProMotion, so it can variable refresh rate from 10 to 120 hertz on the screen, which is awesome. The rear camera, the 2.5x zoom, the telephoto lens is now 3x zoom, and there's now macro photography mode using the ultra wide. I'm so surprised Apple hasn't done this up to this point, given that the 11 had an ultra wide. They could have honestly added it with that, but welcome to 2019 or 18, I guess, Apple, with your macro photography mode. There's a updated smart HDR as well, and there's photographic styles now, which are pretty much you can tweak this HDR to take photos the way you like it. So it's like applying a filter before even taking the photo, but on a more deep level. It's not just slapping on a filter on top. It's like changing the aspects of an image as you take them, which is incredible. It's awesome. And the Pro and Pro Max models are also going to get the ability to record ProRes video. Now, there's a caveat to this where if you get the 128 gig models, you're not going to be able to, I think they're limited in a certain respect or some way. I'm going to have to do more research to find out. But if you're planning on doing ProRes video, don't get the 128 gig model. Just jump up to the 256 or higher. Battery life on these are also improved. So the 13 Pro is going to get 1.5 more hour battery life than the 12 Pro, and the 13 Pro Max is going to get 2.5 more hours battery than the 12 Pro Max. So the 12 Pro Max already gets me through about 95% of the day. So the 13 I don't think is ever going to die on me through the day, which is just awesome. I am very happy with the battery upgrade here. They did mention something small here. They're no longer going to be using plastic covers on their boxes for the phone, so it's just going to be the box. That's interesting. They said it pretty much takes their plastic usage and their packaging down to like almost zero. Interested to see what the unboxing experience is going to be like this year. The good thing with the 13 Pro and Pro Max is they are the same price as last year. No changes in price, but there is a 1 TB storage option now, so you get 128, 256, 512, and a terabyte. So a lot of options there. And pre-orders start this Friday, and they're available on the 24th. The iPhone 12 still remains in the lineup at $599. The 11 also remains at $499, and the SE, of course, still remains at that $399 price point. So, what do I think about all this? Love the iPad Mini, the entry-level iPad, good upgrade, but pretty much they're like, don't fix if it's not broken. 13 Pro. I'm excited to try them out, but it's very clear Apple was struggling to talk about new features because there's just not a lot. The 13 Pro, honestly, the biggest change is going to be that display. Having a high refresh rate is going to make the display feel cooler, but it didn't feel like there's a lot of new camera features. It didn't feel like there's going to be a lot of camera improvements other than a few features that they've added. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more comparison in depth with the 12 Pro and the 13 Pro, but I honestly don't expect the camera performance to be very different. So that's my thoughts on... Oh, and Apple Watch. I can't believe I skipped that. So I know a lot of people are disappointed about the Apple Watch for some reason, but Apple is already so far ahead of the competition. They don't have competition in the smartwatch field pretty much, especially when it comes to the iOS ecosystem. Like, nobody does it better than them. So they don't have a lot of incentive to keep changing things up. So whatever's working, they're going to keep doing it. So the Series 7 is the same price as the Series 6. So you're not paying anything extra. So you're getting a few upgrades and changes and small things here and there, but there's no new health tracking features. There's no... there's nothing massively different about the software, which I think a lot of people were expecting some more software differences or more health tracking features. Even I was really hoping for a few new health tracking features. But if you have anything from the Series 4 onwards, I still don't see this as like, okay, you should jump up now. Series 3 and older, of course, jump up anytime you guys want. But Series 4 and newer, still don't think that the Watch 7 makes a compelling case for an upgrade. So I'm interested. I'm going to try it out. I'm very interested to try the larger display just to see how much different it feels. Because from the Series 3 to Series 4, when that display changed, it just really felt like a completely different watch. Like the experience changed completely. So I'm excited to see if it feels the same way with this new watch. Beyond that, let me know what you guys think of these new products. Are you going to order any? I've already got the iPad mini order in, and I'm very excited to order the 13 and 13 Pro as well. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. If you have anything to talk about, leave them down in the comments below. Let's get a discussion started and talk about all these new products. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.